and welcome back to MEP Next Gen. My name is Giulia and I am a senior studying industrial engineering.
And I'm Clifford Underwood. I am a senior also studying agriculture engineering with a concentration in machine systems.
So this episode, we decided to talk a little bit more about the importance of involvement in MEP and then importance in extracurriculars.
For our first segment, before introducing our guests, we're going to segue to some students that we interviewed in the Academic Success Center for MEP.
So we went around just meeting new students, some that we may not have spoken to before and some that we have, asked them about their name, their major, and just learned a little bit more about what they were involved with on campus.
All right.
Roll the clip.
Hello, my name's Gabrielle Carroll. I'm FYE intended biomedical engineering, and I'm minoring in Spanish for the professions, and I'm pre-med. I'm involved with NSBE on campus, as well as the campus Catholic Church. I go to church there, it's chill. I've helped out with things in MEP along with doing the boot camp as an incoming freshman. The boot camp helped me prepare me for classes like chemistry and calc and gave me a little kickstart so that I knew what I was getting myself into when I became a freshman here at Purdue.
Hi there, I'm Camille Bawari. I'm a civil engineer. I'm a sophomore at Purdue University, and I'm involved in MEP and the EABC boot camp, as well as intramural basketball.
I'm Ethan Ruby. I'm a junior in chemical engineering, and I'm involved with NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers, MAIAs, Latinos in Science and Engineering, the Mexican and Mexican American Association. I'm currently on track to start a new organization for Central American students called the Central American United Student Association. And involvements that I've had at MEP include the academic boot camp in the summer of 2022.
So I'm Mary. I'm a freshman. I'm in first year engineering with an intended major of civil engineering. And then some of the things that I'm involved in on campus, I am a part of the MEP Next Gen podcast. I'm one of the hosts. I'm also involved in the Black Student Union. I am the secretary for the Freshman Action Team. And then I'm also involved in the National Society of Black Engineers.
Hello, my name is Victor Chukwucha. I am a junior in integrated business engineering, and currently on campus, I am in Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, Black Data Processing Associates, Society of Minority Managers, the National Association of Advancement of Colored People, and the National Society of Black Engineers.
What's up? I'm Archit. I'm a sophomore in electrical engineering. I was part of the EABC class for 2023, and now I'm the lead electrical engineer for motorsports at Purdue, which is in the EV Grand Prix team here.
Wow, these students are really involved.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive, especially as engineers. I'm really surprised to see all of these students are so involved on campus. And also, I've never heard of some of these clubs before. Like, for instance, I know you may be involved in motorsports, but I've never heard of that before. So it was just interesting to see the diversity of extracurriculars that we have in MEP.
Of course. Giulia, before we segue to our guests, tell us a little bit about what you're involved with.
Sure. So if we're just talking about senior year, I'm the treasurer for the National Society of Black Engineers, Mother Chapter here at Purdue. Mother Chapter. And then I'm also involved with the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs. So I'm the president. It's a community service sisterhood organization. Aside from that, I'm heavily involved with MEP. I'm a tutor. I'm a student staff administrator. Obviously, I'm a podcast host. And then I was also a TA for the Engineering 180 class.
Sounds good. Well, for me, I'm pretty much involved with similar things. One being, NSBE Corporate Relations Chair for our NSBE chapter, the mother chapter here at Purdue University. I am a student ambassador for MEP, as well as a student ambassador for ABE, so my School of Engineering. I've been involved with, as she mentioned, motorsports at Purdue and, our Purdue SAE Baja racing team. So I've had my hand in many different pots. But now we want to introduce our guests for today. So who would like to go first?
Welcome, Giulia and Aniyah. In other words, can you guys start off by telling us a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll go ahead and we'll move on. Yeah.
So my name is Aniyah Anderson. I am a senior studying chemical engineering.
Hi, everyone. My name is Giulia Episcopo, and I'm also a senior studying chemical engineering.
Right. Welcome to the podcast. We're excited to have you. We're excited to have two seasoned seniors. This is going to be fun. I feel like you guys can provide a lot of good advice about getting involved. So first question is, how did you first get involved with MEP?
You want to take that, or do you want me to?
Yeah,
Okay. So I first got involved with MEP in the summer of 2021 when I did their Engineering Academic Boot Camp, or EABC, as we like to call it. It was a really good experience. I'm so glad I did it, and I always tell people if I hadn't have done it, I think my entire Purdue experience would have been very different. A lot of my friends, my main core group of friends, came from EABC, and just, all of I think even the networking opportunities that came from that, I actually leveraged that a lot during boot camp, and that helped me find my things that I was involved in as I kind of got older. So, yeah.
Very similar to Giulia. I was a part of the engineering boot camp, same exact year, 2021. I could definitely agree to just a lot of the core friends you make was definitely from that boot camp. Also, some love interests were from that boot camp, on the low. But it was really, it was really fun. The most beneficial thing I would say from the boot camp was kind of getting you into that discipline and that routine of, yes, it's cool to go to class, you have your breaks, but you need to have time to study. So there were just some extra activities that were put in place to kind of remind you of that before you start school for real.
So would you guys say that MEP helped shape your transition to college a little more smoothly?
Yeah, I would say it did. I think, like, to what Aniyah said, one of the things that we had, I think we had a study hall at one point, right? So, like in school, in like your normal school, you don't necessarily have a class. Like, it was actually kind of like a class. You don't really have a class called study hall, right? But what it taught you is like, okay, you need to carve out at least, a certain amount of hours per week of your time to study, to do homework,
Right.
etc. So it really trained us. I think also, we were very fortunate to take some classes over the summer for credit. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're the first boot camp that got to do that.
Yep.
So that also, it was nice because it gave you a sense of like, okay, this is kind of what college in the fall semester is going to be like. Right. And we were getting, these are grades, these are on my transcript now, and actually helped a lot because now, I didn't have to take those classes again in, my core 4 years of being here. So
it gave you a leg up.
Yeah, it does give you a leg up. The classes we didn't take for credit also gave us a leg up in terms of like understanding the structure of certain departments at Purdue, like the math department, for example. We had some sort of like calculus like preparatory class, and so it kind of gives you an idea of like, how will calculus at Purdue look. And so I think it prepared us to a certain extent, like once we were actually enrolled in those classes. Okay. So I would say that.
Sounds good.
Outside of classes, it showed you how to be more proactive. That's one of the biggest things I learned from boot camp was, you have to be proactive and reach out to your professors if you're struggling, if you're confused. And I feel like through boot camp, you really got to have that personal experience of doing it on a smaller scale. So then once classes start, if you're in a class with about 100 or 200 people, you still have the confidence to, I need to send an email, or I need to say in class, I need help.
Okay, so it even helped even in the networking skills of just learning how to address your professors, how to kind of get out your comfort zone and be like, I need help.
Yes, because you will have to get out your comfort zone. That's a big thing you learn while being in college.
Okay, sounds good.
Great.
So in all honesty, like, I'm sure you guys know this, but I'm in your class, but like I wasn't in your EABC class. Wait, Cliff, were you in the?
I wasn't in it.
Oh, you weren't?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
You were
okay.
one.
Yeah, so you're teaching us something, because we weren't in it. So we weren't able to experience the, the connections or meeting people or just like getting ahead. So definitely for those listening, if you are planning to go to Purdue and you are interested in getting ahead or, hitting the ground running, definitely would suggest EABC, MEP program.
You can start with a guaranteed 4.0 now. So
That is true. That is also
I would
very
definitely do it.
possible.
Okay, so our next question is, what specific resources or support from MEP do you find most impactful currently, and what do you do in MEP? I feel like that's important as seniors.
That's true.
Ooh,
Do you want
go
to
first?
Okay. Okay. So specific resources, I'll say two. My first one, I think, just in general, was all the networking. So I'll tell this cool story because I like to kind of say it. I think it's a testament to the networking that MEP provides. So I went to IR my freshman year.
What is IR?
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's called Industrial Roundtable. It is one of the largest collegiate career fairs in the country. Very helpful. So like I said, I found my first internship freshman year there, which is also kind of a rare experience. But I didn't find this out until later. So I interviewed with the company that I got my internship with. And turns out my recruiting coordinator happened to actually be a Purdue MEP alum. I didn't find that out until like after I had like gotten the job, right? But she told me like she saw MEP on my resume, and like it was there when I said, wow, this is a testament, just like I said, to really the networking kind of level or like the net of networking that MEP has, like, you know, and just to say it that way. So I would say the networking is one of the most valuable resources that I've gotten out of MEP. Personally, again, I talked about like all the friends. I think even within boot camp and without, like, you know, like you guys were mentioning, you guys didn't do boot camp, but I met you guys through the center, right? And that's, you know, the academic success center, our tutoring center is also like sometimes what people call it. That's another good way to meet people. Now I actually tutor there, which is going back to like my involvement with MEP. I would also say that tutoring was a very valuable resource at the time when I was struggling. I know we were maybe struggling with our first chemi class. It wasn't easy, and it was a very different way to think. You had to think very differently, and so we got a lot of tutoring help from the Academic Success Center, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to become a tutor, which is now my main involvement for this last semester that I'm at Purdue. But it's been my involvement for a few semesters now. So, yeah.
Okay.
Just to piggyback a little bit on the networking part, I was influenced by a lot of people in MEP to go to the NSBE conference my sophomore year. From there, that's how I got my connections in my internship with L'Oreal. So if it wasn't for MEP, I never would have went to the NSBE conference. So they're very encouraging in that aspect. For being, like you said, tutoring for that first Chemi 205 class, very hard.
Shout out. Yeah.
Just the adaptability and how friendly people were, because our original tutor was not a tutor, but he saw us struggling and he offered to help us and come in his own time to kind of just guide us through that class. So that was really cool from being a part of MEP. Let me think. Oh, some of my involvement. I've helped with just volunteering. I volunteered a few tours for Promise. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know the acronym for Promise, though.
I don't know if there is.
I think
it's just Promise.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll come back in. For some of my involvement with MEP, I've helped with Promise, which is where like high schoolers come with their parents and they get to tour Purdue and kind of see what MEP is like. I got to help guide some of those tours. I also got to help them with their applications when they were applying. And I think my favorite thing that I did was do like a student panel. So the students ask you questions, the parents ask you questions, and it's just cool to see the excitement of everyone after, because they're like, oh, how can we get in contact? What should I do next? And I'm like, give me your emails. Like, I got you. Like, I got the links. So that would probably be my favorite thing, is connections inside of MEP and outside with people.
Yeah. I'd have to just second that last part about volunteering. I know we've done some of the same tours, but just being in that position, having all these parents come up to you like, okay, what should we do next? How do I get my kid, make sure my kid is in the right spot to get into Purdue? Because I know that was kind of me and my mom before we came into college. Like, okay, am I doing everything right? What else do we need to do? What else do we need to accomplish? So being able to be that resource, I think is something that, is a really good takeaway from MEP, and just kind of giving back in that sense. So.
And it definitely feels weird seeing all these students that have that they're looking to come to Purdue and they're about to be freshmen, and you're like, well, now like we're all seniors and we've been here for almost 4 years, and so it's just a different experience, because you're kind of like the proof, or like you're kind of like the testament that it does work and you've gotten through it and it's possible. So I really like that, and I feel like the programs definitely help. So another thing is getting involved. If you're looking to get involved and hit the ground running, definitely look into Preview and Promise as well. So next question, we want to know a little bit more about the extracurriculars you guys are involved with and why you got involved with them.
Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. So starting off, I joined AICE my junior year, and I became a committee member as soon as I could. Oh, AICE is the American Institute of Chemical Engineers.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
We didn't know that.
I was looking like, huh?
Yes.
AICE?
So I joined the diversity and inclusion group, and through this club, it was so much fun. I was able to host 2 Hispanic Heritage Months where we did like Talavera paintings. We did a Hispanic trivia night. I also got to host, which I was very proud of, and I made it up. Good. It was Black music trivia. And so I got to expose people to Black artists in a variety of different genres. And I think the most, what's a good word?
Rewarding.
I think the most rewarding part of that whole event was having students come up to me at the end that were outside of the Black race, and they were just like, I never knew this song was by this person. And they were like, I'm so much more interested in learning more. Like, what could I do? So I was able to kind of guide them as well. So I got to do that through AICE. And then outside of more school things, I am a part of an intramural basketball and volleyball team. My basketball team has won for the women's 2 years in a row champions.
Hey.
Let's just say small forward right here. Yeah. But which was super fun. We got to play in the Mackey Arena.
Ooh.
So that's a really fun, exciting event that I got to be a part of.
Okay.
How did you get involved with like intramurals? Is it just like a bunch of your friends you guys got together?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's actually a bunch of my friends. I was kind of the first year I wasn't even wanting to play basketball. They just needed one more girl, and I was like, sure, why not? I joined, and then we won. I was like, wow. I was like, maybe we should do
wait,
this
hold on,
again.
I'm into it.
I was like, let's run this back. So then we won a second time, and it's kind of like not just the game, but it's a relief. Because after you go through classes, you might have an exam, you're stressed out. Being able to kind of release that anxiety or that stress through just playing a sport.
And not thinking about it for a little bit.
It helps so much. Like, it really helps time go by faster. And I think that's really what made me start enjoying school a lot more, was being able to have that release. Because sometimes the gym is not the most consistent thing. So if you have people to hold you kind of accountable for a game whether you've practiced for it or they know we have this amount of girls, we need you to be there, it kind of forces you and holds you accountable.
Okay, so some of my involvements, let's see. So I'll start as early as I can. I think my first involvement on campus was with undergraduate research. So I started that spring semester freshman year was the first semester that I did that, and guess where I got that connection from? MEP. I did get that connection from MEP. They are, I guess, like the dean or the head of chemical engineering was there, and I'm like, hey, I'm interested in research. Do you have a professor who's available? And lo and behold, he did, and that's how I got research. Yeah, so I got research experience through the chemical engineering department. I was in that lab for 5 semesters. I took a break in the middle, and I'll tell you what I did during that break. But in that research, I did a lot of polymer development, and it was to transport an anti-cancer drug throughout the body. It was very interesting, a very, very interesting and diverse experience that I got working in a lab. I found out through doing research that, at the point, there was a time where I was like, maybe I want to go to grad school. And I just found out, like, maybe right after college wasn't the best time for me. I think it's a great idea if it is the best time for you. I just personally, didn't think it was a good decision for me. But it was still really good experience, and I will definitely take, being, meticulous in the lab is something that I can go into the workforce with as well. So I did that. And now I said I took a break, so I actually did more research during that break, but this is a very, I would say, unique and extremely uncommon type of research. So I actually did law research for 1 semester. I like to say I had somewhat, not a midlife crisis, but maybe kind of a midlife crisis where I was
mid-major crisis
where I was like, maybe instead of grad school, like traditional PhD grad school, I want to be a lawyer. And so I got that idea after working with patents at my internship. And so I again contacted I was literally doing like Google searching him, like, okay, do we have any law professors here? And so I kind of found a IU law professor who was a Purdue Chemie alum. And I was like, okay, maybe he has research. He did. And so I did research. I did a case review, and it was like a semester long, and I wrote like a 20-page memorandum on my opinion of the case. Got to learn about, some different laws. It was very cool. Then I also found out, okay, maybe I don't want to be a lawyer after graduation. Maybe it wasn't like the best path, but I think, to say everything, I'm glad I tried it, because if I wouldn't have, I guess you don't know until you try, right? So I did that. I'll go back to AICHE. I also was in AICHE. I started that. I think also my spring semester freshman year. A lot happened that semester. I started it then. At the time, I was just a general member, I believe. No, I was a committee member actually in the Industrial Relations Committee, and so that's where we had like a lot of we did company networking and things like that. Then, you move up a bit in the world, and then I actually got to be a committee head for the Diversity and Inclusion Committee.
Oh, wow.
So I worked with Aniyah and our other group members, and we planned a lot of DEI events, so a lot of cultural celebrations. I did a DEI training once, which was very fun. It was my first event as a committee head, so I got to get everybody, certified through AICHE with a DEI certificate, and that was nice. But I'd say those are the main ones outside of being an MEP tutor now. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like we have the importance of getting involved can help you figure out what you want to do like in the future. So really help you discover yourself, like how you did through research, and you even did like an untraditional path. Instead of doing just like chemical engineering research or I guess traditional research. You decided to go into law. You learned a little bit about it, got to explore it, and even though you don't want to do it, you said you got to figure that out. But then we also have the other aspect of involvement, meeting new people, actually being able to make an impact in community as well, which is pretty cool.
Having those trials and error errors and successes, of course, mixed in there. I mean, you guys are involved in a lot. Like, within the course of these 4 years, this is impressive work. My next question is, how do you balance it all? I know, like, it gets to be a challenge, especially within you guys' major.
That's for it.
Giulia said, I don't balance. It don't happen.
Correct. Still working on it.
You know what? Okay. To really balance, I would say make friends in your major. That is number one. You need to have people where, and when you're struggling, you're not struggling by yourself.
Right.
Because that helps you be more productive and get things done, get assignments done. Make friends in your major.
Y'all heard her.
Because people wait. They wait till the last minute. And then
go to the teacher and they're like, there's nothing I can do.
That's what I'm saying. Because if you have a friend that already understands the concept and then you can tag along and help them with concepts they don't understand, you get through work so much faster. You build those relationships where when there's like different resources, they're able to share those with you as well.
Right.
So you get that advantage over other people that you didn't even know were out there.
And to add to that, I mean, especially once you get to learn them, I mean, you can pivot off that. So you guys can kind of, know where each other is strong, where each other is weak. And together, I mean, that makes a stronger team. So makes it easier in the long run.
And another thing I would add, I think is important, make sure you have time for yourself.
Yeah.
School is important, but your mental health is probably, I would say, even more important. Because if you are mentally drained and burnt out, you're not going to perform well.
Right.
Academically, it's going to be harder for you to continue. So what I do on Saturdays, I force myself from this time to this time, no school. And it doesn't mean that I have to be working out or I have to be doing something with sports-wise. I might just be laying in my bed on TikTok, and guess what? That's enough. If that's what I need, that's what's going to be. So make sure you prioritize your mental health.
Raise your hand if you don't do work on Saturday.
It depends. Depends on the week.
Okay. So
Sunday is usually my grind
Sunday
day.
is grind day.
Okay, Sunday. Okay.
Friday, Saturday, you did.
I put Sunday and grind day together, I guess. Sign day.
That's what we're going to call it.
I mean, low-key.
That's the new name now.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Trademark. I like it.
But what about you, Giulia? Tell us about your balancing of everything.
Well, I will say everybody who's listening to this should listen to Aniyah, because personally, I listen to Aniyah when I'm actually trying to learn how to balance my work and my school, or my work and my life balance. I got the idea of taking personal time. It took me a while to get there, but taking personal time for myself. I think I'll talk about. I think what's maybe better for me to talk about is the other end of it. What happens when you don't balance and don't figure it out.
Right.
So like I think you might have mentioned burnout. That happened to me actually. It happened, and I knew how it happened because it actually was my worst academic semester, and it tanked my GPA just a little bit. I didn't feel very good about myself. I think I'm pretty sure this was second semester junior year, and junior year for most people is like their hardest year, right? Didn't get the grades that I was used to seeing, and then I was like, okay, what's going on? It's not that I wasn't smart or that I wasn't paying attention, it's that I was burnt out. I took no time for myself. It was all study, school. You eventually get to a point where, mentally it's very hard to like grasp concepts and such when you're in that state. And so, I looked at Aniyah and I'm like, what should I do? And she's like, you have to take time for yourself. And so I did. I blocked out at least like an hour a day to go to the gym. I've been pretty consistent with that. And so that's kind of what I do when, I need to make that work-life balance. And then I think now that we're hitting like towards the end of our time at Purdue, I'm starting to learn how to balance that maybe a little bit better. But yeah, I would say definitely listen to Aniyah. It's probably my biggest comment. Yeah, just definitely take personal time. Because school's not everything, and I don't want one of you to get burnt out too. It can happen, but now looking back on it, if I had taken that personal time earlier, I don't know necessarily if I would actually have been burnt out at that point in my life. So yeah,
it's interesting to get both sides of the coin there.
Yeah,
Kalia, I want to know where you fall in this segment.
That's a good question. Okay, I'm the type of person where like the first week of school, or like in general, I want to do all the work like as soon as I get it, so I don't have to do it later.
Right.
So like that's kind of how I am. But the thing is, work always keeps coming.
That is so true.
It's kind of like I do like fail at that sometimes. But I will say that like my freshman year, I don't know. I'm surprised it took you that long because I got burned out my freshman year, and my sophomore year it was like a little better because that's when I started getting involved with like extracurriculars before I wasn't. And so I kind of saw that difference in terms of mental health. Like freshman year, horrible for me. But I feel like that's because I wasn't really getting involved with extracurriculars. Then sophomore year was a lot better. I got to meet new people, got more involved with MEP and stuff like that. And that's kind of like how my mental health like increased and how like I got involved with so much stuff. So I'll say I'm in the that's a good question. I'm in I feel like now I'm pretty good with time management. Yeah. But also like I'm a senior in 400 level classes, so like you know,
right. That's
yeah. So I'll say like I definitely time manage, and I do block off time where like I refuse to do anything for anyone. Yeah. So I'll say like I'm like 90% Aniyah.
Yeah.
What about you?
Good deal. I'd say for me, starting off, it was rough. I'm gonna be honest. And I think part of it is because I didn't do those summer camps. I didn't have that, intro to college. So I came in, didn't know anyone. So I was kind of closed off, especially I didn't understand the content that was flying.
You don't even know what to expect at first.
Exactly. Yeah. So like I'm going through the mix of emotions and everything else. So it took me a while to understand like, okay, I can't study the morning of for exams or but yeah, I mean, I couldn't study like the morning of or even just like when it came to understanding core content. If I didn't understand what happened in week 1 and we're all the way all the way in week 10, I messed up somewhere.
That's a little rough.
And especially if I didn't have the network to know what to ask or know who to reach out to, it made it a lot more difficult even when I did go to professors, because it's like, hey, you're 10 weeks in and you're just not letting me know you're having problems. Whereas having that network, which I learned, sophomore, junior year, made it a lot easier as far as balancing classes, especially clubs, and just, having your head screwed on right.
I feel like I didn't mention this, but I was also involved with the Black Cultural Center's performing arts ensembles. Yeah. And we range from singing, dancing, photography, acting, spoken word. So you could get involved with everything. And I believe my sophomore year, that's when I got involved with the Jahari Dance Ensemble. And I feel like that was really big for my mental health as well. Because not only was I getting exercise, but I was getting guaranteed interaction on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Right. And so it kind of helped balance me out as well. Yeah. Improve my mental health. So that's another reason why extracurriculars and involvement are super important. Even if you're not a social person, I think it definitely is beneficial to get involved while you're on campus.
Do those things you always wanted to explore. Yeah. Because now's the time to kind of do that. And
find yourself.
Exactly.
Like Giulia did.
That's what you
Guaranteed there's like a club for almost everything you're interested in.
Any and everything. Yeah. And if it's not, you can make it.
And I think we know some people who have started a club, different clubs already too, so it's very possible.
Of course.
Yeah, isn't there over 1,000 student organizations?
Yeah, and
I said that one time in what's it called? What was it? I think I said it in Promise, and then why did one of the participants correct me? I'm like, how do you know? And I know. He said 1,000.
He's been doing his research.
They're checking Boiler Link.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Okay, so our next question, we're going to talk a little bit about that impact and legacy that you hope to leave. So, in more regards to your organizations, what impact do you hope to leave for your organizations that you're a part of? Now, this could be in terms of leadership, structure. What's the impact that you want to leave? Because you guys are seniors, so you're about to graduate, so I hope you know.
I would say to always try to persevere. Okay. I always try to deliver my message of freshman year, I struggled. GPA was down. Right. But I told myself I'd have a goal and I want to meet it. And so I love to share that story of how I've been able not only to get my GPA up, but just from not just academically, but personal life things that you can't control. And how do you overcome that, especially if it's family things and you're not with your family? So kind of trying to get that mental balance. That's the impact I think I want to leave, is just make sure that you speak up and you tell people. Because not until I spoke to Miss Booth was she able to come in and help me, and my life completely changed. And it wasn't that I didn't have to put in the work anymore, but I had guidelines or steps or people that I could fall back on that could support me. Right. And from there, I was able to get to where I am now to be a senior. Yeah. Because without MEP, I don't want to say no cap, because you probably don't do slang, but no cap, I would not be graduating.
Yeah, that's real.
100%. So MEP gave me the foundation I needed. Yeah. just to be able to get through the major.
Yeah. And
Huge shout out to Ms. Booth, by the way.
Huge
I feel
shout
like
out.
that's going to be the biggest thing. Ms. Booth getting
Yes.
everyone involved, introducing everyone to MEP.
Yes.
If you guys didn't know, Ms. Booth is the current director of the Minority Engineering Program.
Correct. Yes. I mean, she's the one that pretty much kept me in engineering because I was at a point where I didn't know if I was going to make it. I was like, oh, man, I'm going to have to go to a different school or figure it out a different way because, as you know, I started exploratory, and it was already a struggle to get the core classes because I wasn't in FYE. So I had to get special permission to take certain classes. And if I didn't talk to Miss Booth, who had connections within these different schools, getting into that class would have probably never worked out. So.
What about you?
I'll start by talking about AICI, the club that Mean and I are in. And so yeah, I think as the previous DEI committee head, I just recently passed over that torch to actually somebody else in MEP. So that was really, you see how the MEP network kind of helps out with that too. So that's another testament there. But I think with that particular club, I really hope to leave the legacy of never be afraid to try new things. We tried, I think, every single event, and I really mean every single event over, I think my at least 3-semester period of being a committee head was brand new. We literally came up with the help of the team, and that's completely not only me, but the whole team wasn't afraid to try new things.
Yeah.
And because of that, people got more interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion. It built their understanding of what that is, how you can express DEI, how you can be involved with it. And so that's one of the things that I really hope to leave with that club is never be afraid for any committee, not even DEI, to try new things, to get people involved. The other thing I think in a more broad sense, and within MEP, I think the thing I want to leave behind is, people are always going to tell you things are impossible and you can't do them. And I think, some of my involvements and some of my journey has been a testament to that's not exactly true.
Of course.
Things are possible. There's always going to be roadblocks. Don't forget that. But if you are very, very, very persistent, you can, in fact, achieve your dreams, which sounds, kind of cliche, but it is true. I mean, my internship, I kind of think about it too. A lot of people said, oh, you're not going to get an internship freshman year. And so I came in there kind of defeated, why am I even going to Industrial Roundtable? They're saying I'm not going to get one. And I got one, right? I think my involvements actually were a very big part of why I got that internship. I had for a freshman, I had a pretty stacked resume at the time because I was trying to be so involved. And you can even be involved if you're watching this and you're still in high school. Look for those programs. I did a ton of programs, outside of Purdue, through Purdue, to kind of prepare you for engineering. They're out there. There's summer camps, that's a thing, right? My resume was pretty stacked, and that's, and my interview skills were good. Again, got help through MEP in our Engineering 180 seminar. So it's possible. You just have to look for the resources.
Of course.
Yeah. So I'll say that.
Okay.
Perseverance.
I feel like that's the biggest takeaway then. We'll take away the importance of perseverance, and that you guys definitely want to make sure that you leave a legacy when you're leaving your organizations, because you're both graduating in the spring, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
period.
we are.
They said they out. No more than 4 years.
We are
No
out,
more.
yes.
We're done. We're done. Okay, and I love that. Might as well ask you, Cliff, too. What do you hope to leave behind?
Honestly, I hope to leave behind I don't know.
Oh.
Because I'm gonna be here another year. I got another year
He
to
said,
figure that
ask
out.
me in a year.
Yeah, ask me in a year. What I plan to leave behind is basically showing that a no doesn't mean no. A no is basically find another way. One thing about it is, Purdue has its ways of challenging you and challenging how you think, but it will kind of test you and see, do you really want this? And if you do, there are alternatives. So as I mentioned, getting workarounds for classes or learning how, to balance these different classes with your extracurriculars or, personal things going on. You will learn how to do all that here. Purdue, like I mentioned in previous episodes, is ultimately about problem solving. So if you can learn that fundamental skill and be able to apply it in multiple aspects of your life, I think that's going to carry you the furthest.
Yeah, and there's a lot to do here. There's a lot to get involved. Like I said, it's over 1,000 plus. I'm not going to stick to a number, but there's a lot of clubs. There's almost everything you can think of. You can probably get to experience here. So I think the biggest thing that I want to say would be, don't be scared to be involved. I feel like a lot of us have been saying that, but don't be scared to get involved. Don't be afraid to try something new. and realize that, like, you know, like, nothing's really stopping you. Like, for instance, a lot of the stuff that we've been able to do with, like, NSBE, you never thought you'd be able to do it, but then you come to college, you have all this freedom. And not only with that, but with, like, organizations, like, you don't realize you can really do anything you want it as long as it's legal.
Right.
So I'll say, like, that's the biggest thing. You get to try new things and you get to make an impact. Like, we were able to make this podcast by like just proposing it to Ms. Booth and Ms. Tam, the director and associate director. And now it's like a thing, we're able to do it. So it's really just, you know, you can do anything. Anything's possible. If you're interested in something, you just need someone to back you up and you're able to do it and experience it. So I'll say get involved is super important. And I definitely think that's the message that we all want to leave here. We all want you to leave here with as well.
Yes, indeed.
All right, and thank you for listening to our episode on Purdue involvement.
Yes, and we will see you on MEP Next Gen next time.
All right, bye.
Ciao.